Okay, here we are, Inner City Press. We're leaving the Southern District of New York Courthouse today, Friday, August 7th. It's been a full week of coverage. Today we've written about more than 10 stories. We'll start with, yes, Avenatti. Avenatti today appeared before Judge Furman. He had a case in front of Judge Gardefee before, which we covered in great detail. Oh, looks like they've closed this off again. I'm not sure what they're awaiting. This area here between the state court and the federal court has been closed kind of randomly at various times. But in any event, we'll head up this way toward Foley Square. So, we'll do this as a stand-up. Why not? Why not? There's been some complaints about shaky video of random buildings, so we'll do it as a stand-up. The stand-up is as follows. Today we covered Michael Avenatti appearing by telephone from California. He faces trial on the Stormy Daniels matter here in the Southern District of New York. Judge Furman, stern, somebody I just responded to on Twitter had called him with a dry sense of humor because he did say, look, it's the New York Law Journal. Extremely wet. I don't know if you can see it. Let's move in closer. The New York Law Journal. If it was dry, I would actually take that. Wait, some maybe. Hey, hang on a moment. It's time for me to learn a little bit more. Let's take a few for the subway ride. Hey. All right. That said, Judge Furman, the trial was set for October, but now there's no date at all. Why? COVID-19. But he has a free lawyer. Michael Avenatti stopped paying his paid lawyer, submitted a secret affidavit. And we'll have more on that. But here's what I want to say. Although we will pursue that because we are for court transparency, there's an even more important court secrecy story here in the SDNY. And no one else pursued it except the Inner City Press. It involves U.S. versus Edwards. It's actually a pretty high-profile case. That's what's, again, I don't want to put down the media, but I do want to say this. When I first arrived here, having been physically ousted from the UN for exposing corruption there, one of the first cases I covered was U.S. versus Edwards. This is a case about the leaker/whistleblower, however you view it, of Paul Manafort's SARS. But there's actually a lot more to it. She has documents about Yemen and Iran and China. So these are very interesting things, I believe. And she pled guilty, and she's going to get a very light sentence. And it's in front of Judge Woods. And she wrote her own letters to Judge Woods that triggered the hearing. And now she has a free lawyer, just like Avenatti. And suddenly, the documents that she filed want to all be withdrawn. They're not in the docket. So I was listening and covering a hearing, and they said, okay, no problem. Bygones, everything is gone. And I said, no. So I wrote in. This was July 22nd. I wrote in, and I said, I think those are judicial documents. I think we have to see those documents. Maybe you can redact a few things, but you can't withdraw the whole thing. Judge Woods, to his credit, established a briefing schedule allowing Edwards' lawyer to file by July 30th and yours truly to file by August 6th. And we filed on the 4th and the 5th. And the 4th wasn't docketed, so we filed on the 5th and they were docketed. One of the reasons I've worked late today is because I kind of expected a ruling. I expected a ruling on this. It seems to me very clear that a criminal defendant, particularly in an issue of public interest, cannot file things that then disappear. This is not like, what do they call it? Like Get Smart, whatever. These are not the filings that disappear after 5 minutes. I guess that was, there are various platforms that allow for that, but the court system is not one of them. Just for the record, when you file a document to a federal court that results in a hearing, it's per se a judicial document because it's not speculative. Anyway, I did the research. It's not just, it could be a judicial document if no action was taken. But if action is taken, it's a judicial document, I believe, clearly. So anyway, we're waiting for a ruling on that. And I feel that this has more gravamen than the Avenatti scene, but it's all good. When I first got here, I used to resent the idea that like people only cared about hype cases. And I realized, like, it's all of a piece. I mean, the other cases I covered today, let me just say this. They're not Avenatti. They're not Edwards. They're a guy called Malley who got out on parole and wrote fake checks. And Judge Swain gave him a 6-month sentence, but it's concurrent to his state sentence. Concurrent to his state sentence, so it's actually no sentence at all. And, I mean, that's it. Maybe that's compassion. I've seen her be harsher to other defendants. Anyway, I try to not get into the... We have another case by Judge Woods. We haven't written it up yet. There are just many, many, many cases. Oh, there's a helicopter case on the west side. Are you ready? The West 30th Street heliport took off a helicopter, knocked a woman off her bike. She sued. Today I called into a civil case. I just cover whatever's moving. And they said, excuse me. First, the deputy of Judge Coates said, who just joined? So I said, Inner City Press, not a participant. And then the lawyer said, excuse me, what's your connection to the case? So I said, I'm a journalist. I cover the court. That's my connection to the case. And they said, no. Both sides said, we want you off. And I said, it's not how it works. This is not a settlement conference. It's a court case, and I'm here. And I said, let the judge decide. And then the deputy said to me, excuse me, non-participants shouldn't speak. So apparently the lawyers could speak to get me thrown out. Again, it's hard to make the analogy to a courtroom. In a courtroom, I might have just stood my ground until I was, Anyway, I've written the story. You can find it on Inner City Press. Now we have some police behind me. I don't know. Let's see. It's a little bit far, but they're blinking. There's the courthouse. And here's what I want to say. I love the law. And it's not a question of that I love the law. The law is, the law is a red-dressed woman in an UNSO van in Tel Aviv. But I love freedom of the press. And I find it here in Foley Square. And at the UN, I didn't find it. I found corruption. I found a fat dictator called Tony Guterres who had me roughed up, shirt torn, laptop broken because I dared ask him about his corruption. They've been banned not just from entering the UN, but from even their Zoom briefings. Anything. They don't answer my emailed questions. I've been banned because of the questions that I asked. And so Antonio Guterres is the biggest censor in New York City. And yet, those who cover the UN don't say a word about it because they're corrupt and collusive. And we'll have more on that the week to come. Have a good weekend. Inner City Press, to be continued.